Hello, my spooky mystery fans. Welcome to the new year, and with that come new spooky stories and much more. This next story is an old urban legend, a story I remembered when I was a young girl myself. Curiously, I wonder if this is based on a real event, Lover's Lane. I did a bit of research and found a few, but particularly found one famous crime. But before diving into the real story, let's look at the urban story we all know very well.
One summer night, a teenage boy was going out on a date with his new girlfriend. He picked her up at her house, and they drove out to the edge of town. They parked the car in a secluded spot that was a well-known lover's lane. As they gazed out at the lights of the town, the boy put his arm around the girl and switched on the car radio so they could listen to some romantic music. He leaned over, and the young couple began kissing and cuddling. Just as they were getting into the mood, the music suddenly stopped, and a newsreader's voice came on the radio. This is an emergency announcement. Earlier tonight, a crazed murderer escaped from the state mental asylum. Police are warning citizens to be on their guard since the patient is considered armed and dangerous. The insane killer is nicknamed the Hook Man because after he lost his right hand in an accident, it was replaced with a steel hook. Everyone in the area should be on the lookout for a man fitting this description. If you see anything suspicious, you should report it to the police immediately. The girl became frightened and asked to be taken home. She knew that the state insane asylum was not far from the Lover's Lane. She was also worried that the remote area where they were parked was the perfect spot for a deranged madman to lurk. The boy was feeling brave and assured his girlfriend that they were perfectly safe. He locked all of the car doors, then tried to kiss her again, hearing noises around them and a rustle in the bush. Then a sharp graze, almost like the sound of sharp metal scraping the side of the car. But they couldn't see anything or anyone. The girl became frantic and pushed him away, insisting that they leave immediately. In a huff, the boy slammed the car into gear and spun its wheels as he pulled out of the parking space. On the way back to town, they both calmed down, but the girl still held on tightly to her boyfriend. When they pulled up outside the girl's house, the boy got out of the car and walked around to open the door for his girlfriend. For a long time, he just stood there, staring at the door. At first, the girl couldn't figure out what was wrong. Then she realized that her door was still locked. She smiled and unlocked it. Still, the boy just stood there. The girl was puzzled and rolled down her window. Then she saw that the boy was staring down at the door handle. Slowly, she looked down herself and began to scream uncontrollably. There, hanging from the door handle, was a bloody stainless steel hook.
Okay, so I found a lover's lane almost in each country where romantic couples can pull over and view spectacular views. Cape Town's breathtaking landscapes at Lover's Lane in Cape Town. Lover's Lane usually refers to scenic spots, often on or near Signal Hill Plattekloof Drive, UIS Craigie Drive, famous for sunset views, picnics, and romantic drives, though some parts might be quieter or even lead to specific viewpoints like the Lookout Cave in Hout Bay, requiring a short walk for stunning ocean vistas, while other locations named Lover's Lane are more general spots for couples to park and enjoy the scenery, sometimes with security concerns. San Francisco, California, USA, a historic and popular walking trail in the Presidio, originally used by soldiers to meet their sweethearts in the city in the late 1800s. It features an art installation called Woodline by Andy Goldsworthy. Cinque Terre, Italy, the famous scenic coastal path connecting the villages of Riomaggiore and Manarola, is called Via dell'Amore, Path of Love, a celebrated lover's lane known for its breathtaking views and romantic graffiti. Louisville, Kentucky, USA, a specific stretch of Springdale Road is nicknamed Lover's Lane.
(1990) Cold Case. Who killed Cheryl Henry and Andy Atkinson on Lover's Lane in West Houston? Cheryl was and her throat was slit in 1990. Andy was tied to a tree and nearly decapitated. It's a cold case that has haunted two families for decades. Michelle Homer, Sherman Chow. It was a summer night in 1990, and Cheryl Henry and Andy Atkinson were young and in love. She was a 22-year-old bubbly blonde, and he was a 21-year-old with piercing green eyes and a Hollywood smile. She thought he was amazing inside and out, and that he had a great smile, but his mind was wonderful too, Cheryl's sister, Meredith Calvert, told us in 2013. That night, on August 22nd, Cheryl and her sister met up with Andy at Bayou Mama's nightclub on Westheimer at South Gessner. That was the last time anyone saw them alive. The couple drove to a then-remote area known as Lover's Lane off Enclave Parkway near Eldridge Parkway in West Houston. The man who killed them was there too. When Cheryl didn't come home by the next morning, her family called Houston police. It was a security guard who found Andy's white car with Cheryl's purse and shoes inside. Her mom, Barbara Craig, rushed to the wooded area. When search dogs found Cheryl's body, officers held Barbara back. They didn't want a frantic mom to see the horrific way her daughter had died. To this day, Sherman, I know if they had let me go to Cheryl, I would have breathed into her and she'd be alive. Barbara told KHOU 11 News in 2017. All those years later, the memory of losing her oldest child still brought tears. Andy was found tied to a tree and nearly. Detectives told his father that Cheryl was killed first, which means he was tied to a tree and listened to her scream, listened to her being murdered knowing that they were going to do the same thing to him, and he couldn't do anything about it, Garland Atkinson said. That's hard to accept. The killer used Andy's golf balls and golf club to point the way to Cheryl's naked body found hidden under wooden boards, a $20 bill lying nearby. HBD Detective Darkus Shorten called it very odd when we interviewed her in 2017. I have gotten sick to my stomach thinking of what they endured, Cheryl's sister said. Unfinished business. Retired HBD Detective Billy Belk spent 2 decades trying to track down the killer. This case stayed with me because it's one of the few cases that I never cleared. It's like I left unfinished business when I retired, Belk told us in 2013. He had his theories. Sometimes I think they were targeted. Cheryl was tied up more than Andy was, even though he was tied to a tree. She put up a fight, Belk said. Sometimes I wonder if there are 2 or 3 suspects. Belk traveled around the country trying to find the suspect. He compared DNA samples found at the crime scene with that of known criminals. I would say at least 25 potential suspects' DNA has been compared, Belk said, but all were ruled out. KHOU 11 News also dug up a report by FBI profilers. Here are some of their theories. The suspect may have known Cheryl or Andy or both. He was about the age of the victims. He had above-average intelligence, but was a low achiever. Police may have interviewed him at one time. In 2001, someone sent a letter to HPD promising information for $100,000. Was it written by the killer or was it a hoax? Either way, it never led anywhere and the case stayed cold. The determined detective. Another victim. Missing pieces. Family's pain lingers. Retired HBD Detective Billy Belk spent 2 decades trying to track down the killer. This case stayed with me because it's one of the few cases that I never cleared. It's like I left unfinished business when I retired, Belk told us in 2013. He had his theories. Sometimes I think they were targeted. Shane Craig and Meredith Zarconi said they're not sure if they'll ever get true closure for their sister's death. They also won't stop trying to find the killer. Tuesday marked 33 years since Cheryl was last seen alive. For my whole family and anyone who knew Cheryl, it's a terrible day. I mean, 33 years. It's hard to even fathom, Zarconi said. The killer's identity has remained a mystery. It's hard when people ask us if there's anything new because for 33 years there hasn't been anything new, Craig said. In recent years, familial DNA has been used to crack a number of cold cases in Houston and across the country, but nothing has come up in Cheryl and Andy's case. I'm more bothered with just knowing what happened. Who did it? I'm curious of what this person's been doing all their life. How they've been able to live with it every day.